We are live.
Hello, folks.
Hello, everyone. Oops.
And welcome to another episode of Yogaground Live.
Yay! Fieke is there.
Oh, Peter's, hey girl.
Good. Anthony,
Yes.
let's talk about today's practice.
Yes. So today we're doing a superpower.
I'm 1 meter distance.
Oh, you're joining. Goodness me. I'll go to this end so you can actually get on the mat at last.
I just wanted to say hello.
On the mat. So we're doing a superpower class. So it's a little bit, if you know the Power Series sequence, which I did actually, I think, a couple of days ago. I did the Power Series. This is on that sequence, but there's a couple of deviations away from it, a couple more postures to go in there, possibly something we might deem as more advanced. But there is no reason to push yourself into those advancements if you don't feel like it's something that's good for your body at this point in time.
Okay,
so
now a little slower. What do you mean? No, just kidding. Power, and everyone, you also think that Anthony is talking way too much, right, during practice?
I always talk too much.
Do you agree? Thumbs up if you
thumbs
say
up
yes.
if I talk too much. Or thumbs, no, because then you can't judge it. Thumbs down if you just love my voice. Right.
I will put you into the mic.
Perfect.
So.
Perfect. So if you do have any proppage at home, I know that there's a list being released about various items you can use about the house, but anything that's like a block or a brick, maybe go and steal one of your neighbor's house bricks from the garden, then that's also perfectly fine. We're going to use that to help us in a few balances. If you're quite confident with your balances, you might not need this. So perfectly fine if you want to lose the brick, but where possible, it's good to have one close by, just in case you suddenly need it. Okay, so I'm going to have that towards the front end of my mat. And then we're going to... Oh, you like the sound of my voice then? It's not that they don't like the class. It's that they just like the sound of my voice. Okay, so come towards the front end of your mat. Give yourself a little bit of space in front of your feet, just in case you need to put your hands down onto the floor. And then I'm just going to soften into the knees a little bit, spread the bases of the feet so those bones of the feet are spreading nice and wide. And I'm rolling my shoulders back, feeling I have a spacious, open chest. And then as I close my eyes, tuning into feeling gravity falling through your structure. And as you feel that gravity fall through your structure, let's elevate that little bit of engagement into your core stability. So thinking about firming the abdominal wall, not necessarily pulling the belly button in, or certainly not pushing the belly out into space, but just firming up that abdominal area to protect your spine. We're going to work into a little bit of balance today, so there's a few moments where we're going to be transitioning the weight from one foot maybe to the other or standing on one foot. So firming the abdominals there will help the body absorb that movement that naturally comes with balance and sends it down through the lower limbs and into the floor. So I'm going to start now tuning into my breathing, seeing if I can actually slow the rhythm of the breath down. Perhaps working with Ujjayi Pranayama if you do have that in your practice. But again, a subtle reminder here for that Ujjayi Pranayama, make that an Ujjayi Pranayama for your own practice. So keep it much more internal. We're using that sound of the ocean in the back of the throat there to stay deeply attached to our own breathing within our own bodies. So feeling that movement of your breath, noticing that we still feel that chest expanding, belly still expanding sideways and backwards as well. So we're not holding the breath in here with the abdominals. Again, just that little bit of firming of the abdominal frontage. And now from here, my next breath in, I'm going to allow the eyes to open, arms come up overhead. Lift yourself out of the waist here. Avoid too much arching backward. A little bit of firming there in the front of the abdominals still, so I'm supporting my spine. Exhalation, soften your knees, and we're going to take a forward bend. Just allow your spine to come forward. Hands make their way down to the floor. And I'm softening my spine over the legs. I'm not overlocking the legs and pushing the spine out into space, overstressing the spine. I'm going to soften the knees so I can let the whole back drape down over the thighs. Feel your breathing. Feel your wide feet. Perhaps even also thinking about spreading hand bones into the floor. Next breath in, push the feet down. Let's slide the fingers up the shins, coming up to almost Utkatasana with those hands onto the knees. And I'm just going to gently push the hands down into those knees. So I'm giving my spine a little bit of decompression. I'm offloading some of the work there through the lower part of the back. And with your next exhalation, let's slide those hands back down, back into that forward bend. Let's lean into the left foot, float your right leg backwards in space. Now keep the foot lifted, and I'm just checking that I'm breathing, feeling the spreading of that left foot, spreading of the hand bones into the floor. Next breath in, let's try and create more length into the spine. Firm the abdominals and lower the back foot down. Press through the hands and step back into plank. Now take your next breath in here, move the heart forwards, that breastbone moving out into space. Now the pubic bone is moving slightly backwards in space, so I'm giving an opening into the front of the body. Soften your knees and your ankles. Your next breath in, move the heart a little further forward. Exhalation, option to lower the knees, chaturanga. Inhale, firming abdominals as I lift into my spinal arch here. Doesn't need to be very high, but I'm feeling the use of the arms, and I'm again firming into that abdominal area, so it may even be that the pelvis lifts. So perfectly fine if you do come higher, but keep the abdominals firm. Exhale, release down. Tuck the toes if they're not already. Breath in to come up through all fours, and use your exhale, find your way back for downward facing dog. Now you may prefer here within your down dog to let your ankles relax, maybe tread alternate heels. But thinking about how can we create space into this lower region of the spine. So I'm pushing through the arms, I'm keeping the chest drawn in, I'm keeping the abdominals firmed rather than collapsing down this way. Now you may prefer to bend the knees a little bit. That's going to give you more space into your lower part of the spine. Take your next breath in, let's lift both heels, and exhalation, bend the knees, look forward. Now we have the options to walk forward. You may want to take a series of little jumps, or maybe one big jump and float those feet down into the floor. Take a breath in, slide fingers up your shins, little pressure through the hands, and your exhale, dive back down. Bend your knees, let's roll up through the spine. Feel those feet spread into the floor, knees are deepening in their bend. Breath in, arms come up overhead. Exhalation, Tadasana, just standing up tall. Now close your eyes, tune into your breathing. Even following one little round of Surya Namaskar here, how has your breath changed? Can you bring the breath back down to a slower, more natural rhythm? That's what we're searching for in this practice, is can we bring the breath into an efficient state whilst we're doing more with the body? Take your next breath in, arms come up overhead. With your exhale, let's soften those knees, take a forward bend, Uttanasana, relaxed neck. Breath in, push the feet down, slide the fingers up the shins and open up your chest. With your exhale, soften your knees, hands come down. Now let's lean into the right foot, left foot floats back. I'm maybe going to flex the foot. That may help you feel like you're giving an energetic reach through that left leg. And I'm checking that I can still breathe here. So maybe with your inhale, you're feeling a lightness to the body. Your exhale, you're letting gravity fall through your structure. Now with your next inhalation, let's firm the abdominals, lengthen your spine, lower the back foot down, and I'm stepping my way back into a plank. I'm taking my breath in, moving heart forwards, option again to lower those knees down, chaturanga with exhale. Next breath in, firm abdominals, and allow the spine to arch. I'm taking away some of the work in the back with my strong arms. With your exhale, lower back down. Breath in, coming back through all fours, and your exhale, find your way back to down dog. I'm closing in the chest, I'm pushing from the arms, and I have space between the rib cage and the pelvis. Take your next slow breath in to lift the heels. The exhale to bend the knees and look forwards. Again, we have our options to walk, step, or jump your way forwards. Take a breath in, slide fingers up the shins, perhaps a little push into the thighs again to offload spine. Exhale, dive down. Bend your knees, let's roll up. Feel the legs here support the spine as you come all the way up to standing. Breath in, arms up overhead. Exhalation, Tadasana. Close the eyes. Feel your breathing. Feel gravity falling through your body. Where do you feel it possibly holding? Are the knees tight? Are the thighs tight? Do we feel we're really over squeezing in the buttocks? How can we let the body be a bit softer? Now let's start to open up those eyes again. Take a breath in, soften the knees, Utkatasana, a chair position. Now in this chair position, again, I'm firming into the abdominals. So I'm protecting that spine area. I'm not overarching, and I'm certainly not tucking. I'm creating space into the lower part of the spine. Now with your next exhalation, take a forward bend. Relax the neck. Breath in, slide the fingers up the shins. Little push down into the thighs there, offload the spine. Exhale, forward bend, Tadasana. Lean into your left foot, step your right foot back. Breath in, firm the abdominals, planking position. Move the heart forward, option to lower the knees. Chaturanga with exhale. Inhale to arch, opening the chest. And your exhale, lower back down. Breath in, engage the abdominals to come up through your all fours, and then press your way back to down dog. Staying here for a few moments. Just tuning into your breath here. How can you try and bring the breath back to a steady rhythm? And your next slow inhalation, I'm lifting the heels. Exhalation, bends the knees, look to the thumb joints. Options again, stepping, jumping, walking, floating forwards. Take your breath in, slide the fingers up the shins, and press into the thighs. Exhale, dive down. Now this time we're coming again back into Utkatasana. Soften the knees, come on up. Stay there, breathe steady. Notice here I've got a deep hinge into the waist. So I'm not stuck here and I'm arching loads here. I'm letting myself come deeper down, and I'm finding that firmness into the abdominals, work into the legs, and I'm finding that stabilization for the knees. Take your next breath in, open up the chest, exhale, forward bend, relaxed neck. Push the feet down, breath in, slide fingers up shins, offload spine. Exhalation, dive back down. Lean into the right foot, left foot reaches back. Take your breath in as you step the right foot back. Move forward, chaturanga with exhale. Inhale to arch, opening the chest. Keep those abdominals firm. Exhale, maybe now rippling through spine or lower, and then find those hinges to come back to down dog. So checking in here on your breath. Checking in on how the heat is entering into the body, how that changes the tension of your body. Take your next breath in, lifting heels. Exhalation, bends the knees, look forward towards the thumbs. Again, we have our options, but coming forwards to the front end of the mat. Take a breath in, slide fingers up shins, offload the spine. Exhale, dive down. Bend your knees, and let's roll up. Come all the way up to standing. Take a breath in, arms come up overhead. Exhalation, forward bend. Inhale, slide the fingers up the shins, move the heart forward. Exhale, diving down, stepping the feet back, chaturanga. Inhale for arch. Exhale, find your way back, downward facing dog. Take a moment there just until other people arrive in case we're taking alternative routes there into down dog. Next breath in, right leg reaches back. Let your left heel sink to the floor. With exhale, curve the spine, draw the knee forward. Breath in, send the leg out. Exhale, curving spine, firm those abdominals. Inhale, send the leg back out. Third time here, firm the abdominals, draw the knee through, step into your warrior one. I'm adjusting the back foot, soften the front knee and the back ankle. I'm going to come up to warrior one. Now, as I come up, I'm thinking of zipping the thighs into the hips, and I'm thinking almost of a scissor with the legs. So the right hip and leg coming back, left hip coming forwards, so I can try and square myself up towards the front of the room. I'm breathing steady. I may be opening the chest a little, but I'm firming into the abdominals. Next exhale, forward bend. Hands come down, step back, chaturanga. Inhale for arch. Exhale, firm the abdominals. Come back to down dog. Let's go on the left side here with that same transition to warrior one. Breath in, left leg reaches into sky. Exhale, curve spine, hover the knee. Breath in, sends the leg back out into space. Exhale, curve the spine. Breath in, reaching out, find length and space into the front of the body. Exhale, stepping forward. Adjust your back foot accordingly so you can get both feet strong on the floor. Soften the front leg and the back ankle. Press into the floor, arms come up. Virabhadrasana 1. I'm checking in here with the breath, firming a little into the buttocks as well as the abdominals. So I'm thinking here about drawing that left hip back, the right hip moving forwards, and then energy zipping out from those scissors that draw into the center line. Take a breath in, open up your chest to the sky a little bit more. Exhalation, forward bend. Step back into plank, chaturanga. Inhale to open up the chest, and your exhale moves you back. So hopefully now we're building up some heat. If you'd like to, if you're using a YouTube, you can always pause this and take a few more rounds of those Surya Namaskar B. Take your next breath in, lift your heels. Exhalation, bend the knees, looking forward. Options on how to come forwards again. Take your breath in, slide the fingers up the shins, and press into the thighs. Now to stand up here, simply push the feet down and move the pelvis forwards, and that will offload your spine. Now from here, lean into your right foot, left leg floats, we're going to step it back. I'm hovering and then planting the foot, firm abdominals. Turn the foot down, and let's turn the right foot in, the left foot out. 2 long legs, Trikonasana. Zip the legs into your hips. I'm dropping down into that left hip. Now your body may go on a slight diagonal here. So avoid too much being square on your mat, because the hips may be different shapes. So feel free to have your spine open towards more of a diagonal. And then as I drop into that, I can find a much greater sense of space into that left hip. Both sides of the body are long and strong, and I'm firming into that abdominal area, perhaps pressing weight through the left hand into the shin, maybe hovering. Depends how you're feeling in your body, in the trunk, and if you have any issues into the lower spine. Now we're going to move this into our half moon balance. So this may be where you would want your brick at this top end of the mat, which I haven't brought it there. I've left it down the other end. So I'm going to find my way from my Trikonasana. I'm going to soften the left knee. Now I'm going to lift the body up first on this transition. I'm going to move the right foot in a little bit. Now I'm going to come up into balance rather than coming down. So it may be, if I'm going to use a brick, it's on its highest setting. I'm going to find the brick and climb up into balance. I'm finding a sense of lift out from that left hip. I'm flexing the right foot, so there is strength now coming through the leg. It's all engaged, it's all switched on. The body is firm. I'm firming the abdominal area. I've got space into the entirety of the spine. And most importantly, I'm checking in that the breathing is still moving steady. Can we still maintain steady, cool, strong breath in this position? Let's soften the left knee, float the right toes down. Take the brick with you, press back up and turn over to the other side. Left toes turn in, right toes out. I'm going to plant the brick, Trikonasana. 2 long legs, zip the thighs into the pelvis. I'm dropping into the right, find that diagonal. Falling into your Trikonasana. Now I'm falling and I'm using those side bodies to maintain strength in the position. If you need to, take some stress out of it. Use the hand and press through the shin there. I'm breathing steady. I'm opening space into the back of the heart between the shoulders. I'm pushing strong into that left foot. And maybe with my next exhalation, I'm finding a way to let go of unnecessary tightness. So perhaps if you're over-bracing in the side, maybe your bum is a little bit too tight, we're over-squeezing. How can we maybe let go of the feet, the neck perhaps? Now with your next exhalation, we're going to soften the right knee. Half moon balance. I'm going to find my brick. Maybe it goes about 1 rib cage's length away, and I'm going to step the left foot forward. I'm climbing up into that balance. I'm finding space into the right hip. Now, I'm not being too shy here with that brick. I'm going to use it to my advantage. I'm going to press down through there. So never feel like a prop is a step down in a pose. It's just to make the position more accessible. I'm breathing steady. I'm flexing the left foot for some engagement through that left leg. And then I'm going to soften that right knee. Now I'm searching for space here as I lower. So rather than dropping down, I'm floating with grace, elegance. I'm going to press out from that position, step forward with left. Breath in, open chest to sky. Exhalation, soften your knees, forward bend. Take a breath in, slide the fingers up your shins, and press the hands through the thighs. Exhalation, forward bend. Stepping back with right, then left. Breath in moves the heart forward. Exhalation, chaturanga. Inhale for an arch, keeping the abdominals firm. Your exhale moves you back, downward facing dog. Now stay here for a few moments. Find your breath. Feel for the change perhaps around your legs. Following that standing Trikonasana, it's a great way to loosen around the pelvis into the legs. Feel how our mind responds to that previous experience of our balances. Do we punish ourselves if we fell over, or are we able to let that go? Take your next breath in, lift both heels. Exhalation, bending both knees, look to your thumbs. Options again, stepping or jumping, maybe floating forwards. Take your breath in, slide fingers up shins. Decompress the spine, firming the abdominals. Exhale, come to stand. Feel Tadasana. Maybe let's close the eyes for a second even. Just tune into your breath. Can we let go of any tightness in your chest, in your neck? Can you feel gravity falling through your structure? Perhaps like a thick, warm liquid, like honey, just melting down on the inside of your skin. Now I'm going to lean into my right foot here. I'm going to float the left leg backwards again. So I'm going to reach back, float the foot into the floor, find Virabhadrasana 2 position. So I'm opening up the right leg here for Warrior 2. Arms perhaps coming out here on that diagonal, and I'm opening my chest to the diagonal. I'm not over twisting the spine, and I'm not pulling too strong with that might affect the knee. So I'm finding a good position here where I'm strong in the legs, tall spine. Reverse your warrior. I'm dripping. So I'm going to reverse my warrior. My right arm's coming up, and I'm searching for space. Now, don't worry too much about the side bending. Think more about up and out into space. We're trying to decompress this right hip to help ourselves with some balancing. Breathe steady into the side ribs. Now we're going to find Parasvakonasana. I'm going to push through 2 strong legs, zipping energy up the body, and come to that Parasvakonasana. Forearm resting into the thigh. Maybe the arm is pressing into the inside edge of the knee. And I'm breathing steady. Perhaps pressing that right thigh into the back of the wrist. And that's a great way, that torsion, that pressure there, helps me to open up the chest a little bit more. So I'm breathing, finding space, pushing from that left foot, opening up into the spine, decompressing the back, firming still into the abdominal area. Now from here, move the body down towards the floor. We're going to bring the left hand down, lower the left knee, side plank. Step your right foot back. The left foot here can swivel. And I'm just using that on the floor. So this is perhaps level 1 of our side plank. Just pushing through the hand, I'm wrapping the shoulder there. So I'm not thinking of closing this space here into the ear. I'm opening that space by wrapping the shoulder. And I'm hugging in the ribs. Now maybe for some of us, we want to just step back with the left foot and just place the 2 ankles together. There are options if you'd like to up level and go fancy, designing with the legs. But don't worry about going into those advancements if it costs you your breathing. Just find a position here. Even being in this more basic side plank is a great way to stabilize into the core and into your lower spine. Now from here, your next steady breath in spirals the right arm forward, and I'm going to move into my plank, move the heart forward, chaturanga. We're taking that vinyasa. Inhale to arch the spine, firming into the abdominals. Exhale, wrap from the shoulders, and find your way back for down dog.
Now notice this movement here around the shoulders. I'm going to tighten up here. So I'm tightening into the shoulders, and this is what we often find in a down dog. How can we find a little more of a relax and widen the shoulder girdle? And that creates much more space around the neck and shoulders. Take your next breath in, lift your heels. Exhalation, bend the knees, look to thumbs. Your transition coming forward. Take a breath in, slide fingers up the shins, push the hands into the thighs. And your exhale, come to standing. Lean into your left foot. The right leg is going to float. I'm leaning slightly forward, firming the abdominals, reaching the right leg back. Drop the foot down, and then come up to warrior 2. Find a good, strong position, arms resting down on 2 floating buoys in the water. So those little flotation devices, not 2 youngsters, to drown. Now we're pushing down onto those floating buoys in the water, and we're using that to help keep the body up out of the water. I'm using that push down through the legs and the lift out from the waist to create space in the side body. Rotate left palm up, reverse warrior. I'm creating space here in that Virabhadrasana 2 position in the legs, but I'm finding lovely stretch here up this left-hand side. So these latissimus muscles here coming up the spine, great stretch into there, particularly if you've been doing an awful lot of typing or desk-based work. Now from here, come up out of this side bend, and we're coming into Parsvakonasana. Firm the abdominals. So that's really important here. Temptation is to come down just to get the hand on the floor or do some more advanced positioning. But instead, let's firm the abdominals, protect your spine. Find that Parsvakonasana. Create space in the back. That right arm may be more up to the sky. It may come forwards. That's again a nice movement for the latissimus and for your side body. But maybe here is a great way to stabilize if you find you have a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders. And from here, I'm going to take my next breath in. Lift into the core of the body. That takes the weight away from this left arm. Bring the hand down. Side plank. Lower the right knee. And perhaps swiveling on that right knee, step the left foot back. Now keep it a little more in front of you. Rather than going too far behind here, keep it more in front. It helps me find the core strength and the side body together. Now you may find that this is enough. Maybe it's a little bit painful on the wrist, so I'm putting more weight through the leg. But if you feel there is space, if there's capacity, then change and go onto that right outer foot. Then your leg is free to do with what you want. So you may go for that kind of tree position. You may even take a hold of the foot and reach it into the sky, if I can do that without falling over. So depending on your flexibility and your strength and stability, you can change that position how you like. And I'm going to lower the foot down, twist the body to face the floor. Take a breath in, move the heart forward. Exhale for Chaturanga. Inhale for an arching, and your exhale, draw in the abdominals and press your way back to downward facing dog. Take a breath in, right leg is reaching back. Now here in this 3-legged dog, I'm going to find a way to get this left heel onto the floor. So it may be I have to step the foot closer and turn the toes slightly out. So feel free, fiddle around there on your mat until you find that the heel can find the floor or we feel just a little bit more stable. I'm going to bend the right knee, and now I'm investigating a balance. Left hand maybe creeps back and I can rest onto fingertips, or perhaps I can reach up and take a bind of the foot. A great way to stretch into the quadriceps. Don't worry if you're pivoting like a rotisserie chicken. That's perfectly fine. Enjoy the pivot and enjoy the instability. That's all part of the process of doing this posture. Bring your hand back down, step forward with the right foot. Now, if you were struggling with that position, just find yourself forward into a lunging. I'm going to keep the back heel lifted, soften that right knee, coming up to my parallel lunge. Now firm the abdominals. Arms come down by the side body. Moving into our warrior 3. So I'm firming abdominals. I come forward and I use that stability and the reach of the head to come forward. And I climb up into the balance. The thigh is coming up and into the hip. I'm pressing down through the heel and spreading the right foot. I'm breathing steady, watching those droplets of sweat fall away from my nose. Possibly they're even hitting the microphone, so it may sound like there's bombs going off around you. But that's just my sweat hitting my microphone, connecting with you in the world. Now I'm going to soften that right knee and draw the left knee through. Standing up nice and tall, options here, maybe coming to that tree position, placing the foot onto inner thigh, or if you'd like, take a hold of the foot. Stand yourself up tall. Now try your best to relax the left hip. And I'm simply going to press out into space. Uttita Hasta Padangustasana. Strong balance. Don't worry if you're nowhere near this. If you're here, this is also perfectly fine. So find the stability in whichever variation, whichever position you're in. This is also beautiful. I'm going to step my foot back. Left foot steps back. Breath in, arms come up. Exhale, forward bend. Step back, chaturanga. Inhale for arch, firm abdominals. Exhale, move back down dog. So same sequence here onto the other side. I'm going to float the left leg and find a way to sink the right heel down to the floor. So I may need to turn the foot slightly out. I may need to move the foot much closer. I'm going to bend the left knee. I'm going to breathe. Now my right hand can come back and I can rest onto those fingers. Notice here that left shoulder. I'm pressing space into the shoulder. So your your arms there need to be almost like another leg. I'm reaching back with the right hand, maybe taking bind. And I'm breathing steady. Don't worry if you don't find the bind. Don't worry if you fall over. That's part of the brilliance of practicing balances, is falling over and trying to understand how and why we fall over, and how can we perhaps try and find a greater sense of stability. Reach the left leg out and then step forward. Lunging position. Your back foot here can be lifted so the heel doesn't need to be on the floor. I'm coming up to my parallel lunge. Now use this to help reset. Let go of that previous balance, find your breath, firm the abdominals, lift out from the waist. Warrior 3. Arms come around, hinge slightly forward. Feel the extension of the spine and let that carry you forwards and upwards for Warrior 3. Notice my back foot here. I'm flexing the foot. So I have an energetic reach through the back of that right leg. I'm spreading the fingers. I'm drawing the shoulder blades down the back there. So that's switching on those lat muscles. Now I'm going to soften into the left knee a little bit. You may find that switches on those stabilizers of your knee. Right knee comes through, and I have my options. For standing, in your vrikshasana, your tree position, perhaps taking a hold of the foot, maybe the outside edge of the foot works better, and I'm climbing up into Uttita Hasta Padangustasana, or wine glass. Now your wine glass might be more of an espresso cup. It might be a champagne flute if you're really loose. So feel free to investigate the many shapes of glass. And now I'm going to reach that right foot back in space. Don't worry if you're falling over all over the place. That's part of the fun of playing with balances. Arms come up. Exhale, forward bend. Don't take your practice too seriously. Move your heart forward. Exhale for chaturanga. Inhale for arch. Firm into those abdominals. Exhale, wrap the shoulders. Downward facing dog. Check in on your breath. Now we've got through quite a lot of strong positions there, strong balances. So now we're going to ease it out. Lift your heels, curve the spine, lower the knees, sink back, but move the legs around to the front. We move into the little bit more elongating part of the practice now. So I'm drawing the toes back for Paschimottanasana. Between your ankles, space enough for perhaps one of those bricks. Not worrying too much about overworking the inner thighs here. So I'm going to reach the arms up. Now maybe you need to do a little bit of shifting of bum tissue out of the way. Maybe those knees need to bend. Maybe the feet need to open a little bit. Adjust the position so that you can come forward. The coming forward freely is the most important part of this, not whether or not these legs are long. So I'm going to reach out into space. With your exhale, come forward. It may not be as far as you'd wish,
but that's part of life. So I'm going to flex those toes back. I'm going to think about pressing sitting bones down. I'm drawing in the chest and firming the abdominals. I'm checking here that I feel good in the body. If you feel you're in agony or you're feeling that you're really tense, then you might want to take a few steps back. Find a way that you can still start to slow that breath, that you feel for subtle change of release in the tissue, not ripping through things. And then I'm going to gently start to press through sitting bones, slow inhalation as the arms come up overhead. I'm going to sit myself slightly back. Now I'm going to firm into those abdominals, bend your knees, boat position. So I'm going to reach the arms out and I'm going to float the right foot, float the left. Now perfectly fine if you prefer to stay here, just working into that core stability. You may prefer to try lengthening out your legs. Either's perfectly fine. Both are quite complex, and both are also equally easy. So you find your way into the positions. Open up your chest, firm into the abdominals. Now let's slowly, softening your knees, start to fall back. We're going to lower onto the back surface, into that dish position. I'm holding the abdominals firm, and then I'm slowly going to lower the whole body down into the floor. Bend your knees, bring the heels towards the bottom, bridge. Push the feet down, lift yourself up. Pressing the feet down, firming the buttocks, firming the abdominals. Avoid the temptation here of overflaring your ribs. So keep the abdominals firm, lifting up the back body. Now, I think I may have crawled away from my mat here, but not to worry. So I'm firming into the buttocks. I've got nice spread toes. They may be turning out. That's also perfectly fine. If that's happening in your body, don't be too concerned unless it feels bad in the knees. Now I'm going to slowly roll my way down onto the back surface. I'm going to draw the knees to the chest and take a few rocks to come back forward. Now a little bit of hand balancing for us today. We're going to work with our Bakasana, crow position. So I'm going to come forward, find my way into a squat. Now if this squat doesn't work for you, if you find this an uncomfortable position, don't worry, you're not going to be here for long. So instead, I'm going to bring the hands out in front of me. Maybe those heels are really high. That's perfectly fine. And I'm leaning into the hands, and I firm the abdominals. Now, I'm slowly going to walk the hands back until the knees lift enough that I can perhaps move the elbows out and let the backs of the upper arms find the shins. Okay? Don't worry if it's lower down here or high up here. You can make it work anywhere along that shin bone. Okay, so I'm going to find my way there. Now, the next little movement is quite important here. It's the bringing in of the abdominals and curve in the upper spine. So perhaps you can see this here. I'm going to draw in and lift and curve the upper spine. Now notice here, temptation is my head already. You can see it starting to go and lift. I'm going to let it drop. I want to let that go. Then as the head drops, I can start to push the hands down, and then maybe one foot comes, maybe the second, and I can start to float. Following me in this, if you're just sitting watching me, try to avoid doing that, even if this is just still the squat. Now, for those who wish for the advancement, tip into the head, press the head down, maybe come up to headstand, maybe clap feet, maybe do circular dancing with legs. So whatever you feel you want to do in your headstand, feel free. But now here's the important bit, coming back. Lift the abdominals and firm. Start to push the sitting bones towards the back wall, and your head can float. I'm going to curve the spine, let the toes come down, sink, and there we go. Playful Bakasana. Feel free, hit pause on YouTube, play around with that. Have lots of fun with Bakasana. It should be fun. Then from here, I'm going to send my bottom down to the floor, wriggle myself to the center of the mat. Ooh, let's do one more thing actually for the back. Just forgetting one thing there. So following that, we'll do something here just to work into the spine. Something quite brief. Arms come down by the side body, fingertips on the floor. I'm just going to tuck the toes, lift the bum, move myself around so that I'm comfortable in this position. Then I'm going to push the pelvis down, roll the shoulders back, see those shoulders moving down my spine. So I'm engaging the lats. I'm going to float the feet and drift up. Now maybe the arms want to float. Now perfectly fine if you prefer to remain here.
You might want to play with Superman moving east and west. So I'm going to fall onto that right hip and lift up. Find a moment of balance and suspension. Avoid putting that right hand down. And coming back through center, we go to Schiphol. Over here, lifting up and arching. I'm finding space into the body. And then back to Eindhoven. Over to Eindhoven, up onto the hip. Find that rotation. Come back up to Groningen. Off to the other side, lifting up. Find that balance. Coming back, Meran, I think you're up in Groningen at the moment, aren't you? And then we're lowering down, don't know if you're watching. Hands come under the shoulders, press your way back, and come over onto your back surface. So we'll now find our way down to relax the body. On the journey down, let's use the core. Arms come out, firm the abdominals, lower down. Now try and keep a flat back. So I'm trying not to curve too much. I'm flattening. I'm reaching out into space. I'm firming the abdominals. Ferdy's trying to distract me here. And then we're lowering down onto the back. And at this point, we can leave Ferdinand behind. We can dive into the body, dive into the floor, and just let go of that quite strong, dynamic practice this evening of working with balances. Possibly a lot of heat. Perhaps the breath has now changed. How can we now see if we can start to slow that breathing down, to bring it back to a more natural, calmer state? Feel gravity absorb the work that you've done into the tissue, and just let that fall into the ground so we can let the body be relaxed. Shavasana being that opportunity for us to accept the current state in the body, to accept our current state and level within our practice, to let go of those aspirations of doing better than we did, but instead just allowing ourselves to observe what we did, how the body's changed. And you may feel that you'd prefer to remain here. If you're watching on YouTube, then feel free to just let the video run to its end, and then you can remain here in your Shavasana position. But if you're joining us now at the moment live on Instagram, let's just gradually start to slow and deepen the breathing down. As we slow that breathing, particularly that inhalation, let's allow that inhale to spread through the entirety of your body, creating space and a feeling of lightness. And we start to reawaken movement, wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, perhaps rolling your wrists, your ankles, taking a stretch out. Reach the arms over your head. Feel that distance between your fingernails and your toenails. And then let's roll onto your left-hand side, curling yourself up into a small ball. And then firming up into that abdominal area here to support you as you come back up to your seated position. Whichever that might be, it may be cross-legged, it may be sitting on your shins with brick underneath pelvis. Whatever feels most comfortable here for your spine, for your body. And as you bring yourself up to that vertical, keeping the eyes closed, just feel for how gravity again falls through your spine, through your pelvis, and falls through those sitting bones, anchoring you into the ground. So we feel gravity as a force that cradles us, that keeps us safe, not imprisons us or pushes us into the ground. Not something that we need to fight against, but just improve our relationship with. And let's bring the hands together in front of the heart, taking a slow breath in, create lightness. And with your exhalation, letting your head maybe fall slightly forwards and thanking yourself for your practice. Namaste. Thank you all very much. And have a very lovely evening ahead of you.
Thank you all very much. And thank you all for anyone who is donating still to our practices. It's really very supportive and very gratefully received. And if you are enjoying the practices, then feel free to keep donating. But thank you all very much. And any comments, let us know. So drop me any thumbs up. So stop me talking. Thumbs down. Oh, hello. Hey, Angela. Nice to meet you, my love. Even though at the moment you look very much like an iPhone 7 or something. Oh, thank you. Does that mean shut up, or does that mean... Oh, thank you all, guys. Look forward to seeing you all at some point very soon.